So, Nicholas,
Yes.
the NRM, the ruling party, had its Central Executive Committee elections. It took quite a while. The campaigning was even longer than the week where they were voting. And over 23,000 delegates were at Kololo to elect the next ruling chapter of the NRM as a party. What made news in the whole that whole exercise for you?
Well, I think tonight we can have so many talking points on SEC, the SEC elections, and the national delegates, for the NRM were together in Kololo. This is the biggest party and the ruling party.
That's true.
And so you expect that to a big extent, the way the elections are carried out for the delegates to choose the SEC members of the party will pretty much reflect on how the elections around the country are going to be carried around.
I get you.
So I think that one of the biggest talking points, of course, is the commercialization of politics.
Actually, it's very big because I think we had very many people come to talk about it.
Yes.
The Museveni talked about it in the tweet he did following the conclusion of the exercise. The deputy speaker, Honorable Taiba, talked about it and he was scared.
Yes.
Sanjay talked about it, who was actually, I think, Tanga Sanjay, who was standing as on the entrepreneurs post. And then also some of the losers that did not make it were shocked at how much one needs to win a voluntary service position such as that.
Exactly. A lot of money was being expended, some in the area of millions, we saw it by Kabanda, that one of the candidates was giving 1 million a vote. Others were saying 8 million per vote. And you're giving so many delegates in the thousands.
Someone did the math for, I think, the post where Kadaga was competing with Among, though not official, but the math was that around 6.9 billion was expended.
You can imagine. And so you wonder, for a place that is largely voluntary, why are they spending this much money? Now, I don't know if it was a previous episode also when we talked about the nature that the NRM party is run, or that the politics in Uganda has come to. And these people are not paying for a position that will pay them back. No? They are paying for something that they are paying for access.
I get you.
Why? Because this is a country.
A feeling of power.
This is a nation of deals. This is a nation of how your proximity to power, how much does it bring to you? So these people are not paying that there's a salary, there's allowances or something that they're paying so that they're in close proximity to the power center. Because being on SEC, is a very big thing.
But you see, for me, Nicholas, my biggest point is this. For such an election, and you have someone expending 6.9 should be around 1.8 billion, 1.8 million US dollars. Where is the source of that money? Because in a serious nation, someone to spend that kind of money, and it's not passing through the normal channels of financial monitoring. We have a financial intelligence authority. Someone is spending that kind of money after spending on primaries, perhaps for the member of parliament seat, but there's no accountability, there's no lifestyle audit on how this money is coming in and how it's being spent. And these are leaders in a third world nation. That's where the worry is.
You see, Harold, it's not we don't need to be, it's not space science to ask yourself is where does this money come from? Because these people that are spending this money, we don't know them for any business. We don't know them for being great businessmen. We don't know any establishment apart from, a few small schools.
I get you.
I don't think that a secondary school can give you that kind of money, or a small hotel in Chisasi. Can you get that kind of money from?
That hotel was controversial for a little bit during time, but
So we understand how, if for example, if you can understand how the speaker's budget has grown over the past 2, 3, 4 financial years, you can get the picture.
Agora Discourse today broke a story about the Speaker of Parliament, and that there are, our Parliament, in the Speaker's office, there's a corporate social responsibility budget. And one of the sects that had been allocated 200 million which the speaker came out to say it was a donation to, I think, Nebi Hospital. And when they went on ground, the solar...
the panels were absent.
They were not there.
You know? And that is just that whole SCR thing is just used as a cover, really, you know. But we can debate that at a later date. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this is not money that comes from some business. It's not money that comes from, you see, in the politics of, for example, the United States, the different parties that would benefit from a candidate's going through. Sometimes some of them are corporations, they need a bill to be pushed. Some of them are sectors that need favorable, maybe taxes or something, you know. The fundraisers, they come together and say, let's support our candidates.
Who will push our agenda.
But in our country, most of the money comes really, really, really not from those kinds of places. But for office holders, I will not tell you where the money comes from, but you can read between the lines that money is not from their businesses or from the people they're pushing things for. It's right there.
There's a name that keeps coming up as far as that is concerned, and that's the name of Anita and Annet among AAA. And it was one of the most vivid battles that we've seen. But in the end, Rebecca Kadaga, for the post of National Vice Chairperson female, gathered 902 votes, representing 7.2%. And AAA, the Speaker of the Parliament, 11,680, representing 92.8. But before the vote, there was a little bit of drama where there was presentation and the media got to it. And Kadaga was pleading history, was pleading age and experience, and tagging, even attacking the skin color of the opponent, who actually, in her wisdom, said, I shall not be speaking about Rebecca Kadaga, that is our mama. And there were no personal attacks. And there was a famous speech that was done by Kadaga, which I want us to discuss before the election, where she was basically saying that I represent the interests of Busoga. You attacked me for speaker, I logged out. You are coming for this post again, I shall not accept it. And in the aftermath of the election, she actually threatened that if things do not change, she will be going out of the party to try her talents elsewhere.
Well, Harold, I think that if there's anyone who doesn't know when to leave, history has showed us that it is Kadaga. Because she had to be pushed out of the speakership, where there's a gentleman's agreement that when you serve 2 terms as a speaker,
let
you
the
leave,
deputy.
Let the deputy.
The unwritten agreement.
It's unwritten rule, you know. But of course, you can also question NRM's unwritten rules. I mean, there was an unwritten rule about Mama Mbabazi coming through. He never did. Gilbert Bukenya, so many things. So maybe she is following in the footsteps of the master.
Of what the party is represented as.
Over time, everyone who has watched General Museveni and his politics knows that Museveni has a certain distaste for people who think they owe him something, who think he owes them something, you know? And systematically, Kadaga is not, yes, Kadaga has been there, she has been great, she has been a staunch supporter of the party, a pillar of the party, especially bringing the Basoga together into, you know, the NRM and pioneering projects, girl child things, whatever, everything. But she cannot say that she has been the biggest supporter for everyone that Museveni has put aside since they left the Bush War.
Anita, I have converted, I think, 11 or 12 formerly opposition MPs.
We can discuss Anita a little bit later, but for Kadaga, she has to know where is General Sejusa, you know, Tumukunde, you know, everyone who fought and shed blood for Uganda to be liberated. Do you think that you're more important than those people?
So is it a case of entitlement?
No. I'm coming to that. But I'm just trying to say that history does not repeat itself. It's just us who fail to learn. You know? So Kadaga should not feel that she is different. And this is not a case of, as some people say, the party used her, they used and dump. No, she used the party. She also used the party to climb on the stairs. Because you see, you must understand when power is borrowed. And that's the thing that many people fail to understand. That the power that you have to say you're a Speaker of Parliament. Yeah? That's why Anita, among everywhere she goes, she has to say, this is God the Father, want God the Son, then the God the Mother. Why
knows
does
what
she?
brings.
She has, because our politics has come to a level where you must be a sycophant. You must sing praises for the Almighty to hear you. If the Almighty does not hear you and you're in his wrong books, it doesn't matter whether if you're a general, it doesn't matter if you're 4 stars, it doesn't matter if you're Speaker of Parliament, it doesn't matter if you're Vice President. Everyone who holds office in this country, and almost in every sector, I'm not talking about just judiciary or executive, even in the legislature, is that power
One time
is
they
delegated to them by the appointing officer. The moment, okay, not the appointing officer in legal terms, but
There's something that General Mount said on his X handle yesterday in response to President Museveni's post. And he was saying that one thing that I can applaud you for, Mr. Museveni, is that you have successfully broken the moral decency of all the Ugandans. And it's not true per se that Ugandans are intellectually deficient. It's that we lack character to stand for the nation and to stand for what is right. And that's why some of the sharpest brains that we knew can say something in defense of the government, or some of the things that are obviously wrong, but you understand where they're coming from, that their character has been broken to something that serves them, and they must serve power. But I'm afraid that we must switch to something related to...
Just before we switch, I wanted to say, in the battle between Kadaga and Anita Among, who are the winners?
I think
the NRM is the winner. Because to be honest, if I was President Museveni right now...
I think Museveni is the winner, not the NRM.
No, okay, well, the party, Museveni, and by extension the party. Because if you look at those two ladies, surely Anita Among has had a grasp over the last 5-8 years of the party, of the delegates, of the younger generation, and really on a plate of the NRM right now, she contributes more. That's why Kadaga's appeal was more historical. We did this, I delivered this, but this is all in the past.
I get you.
But the tides are changing, and the tides must change, and change must come. So at the NRM, or Museveni is the winner. And I think that in his view, honestly speaking, Anita Among would be the better choice for the party. Any party that wants to go forward, that wants young people, that wants the generation, the tides have changed, and people must understand that the tides have changed.
Talking about tides changing, still on the same election, I think we've noted a change of tides in terms of the old guard and the new guard. So let's talk about the winners and the losers. And I will start on this. I think for me, the highlight, apart from the Kadaga and Anita Among issue, was the Western representative, where the state minister, Chris Badiomunsi, for ICT, I think, and national guidance, I believe. Information and national guidance was, I think by percentage, he had 33.6%, and the winner being Asima Jonat with 58.9, gathering 4,044 votes. And we even have people like Kamcha Blaze defeating the indomitable Mawanda, the MP for Igara East, who has had some scandals and is one of the faces of the PLU. I think towards the end, he had to drop out of the election, citing that it was not fair. Who was your winner? Who was your loser in?
Well, Badiomo sits in cabinet, and I think so many people were delighted that you see he has a certain arrogant predisposition towards his national guidance. So many people were saying that it was a good thing that he lost. Janad is new blood, and like I said, tides are changing. And this election, if there's anything it has showed, it is that change has come, and change is inevitable. And we can debate whether this is it was intentional that the man in the High Castle decided that let there be change, or it was as the tides decided. Because
it's a shock to
them. Apart from the two gazetted positions of the national chairperson and the vice national chairperson,
being Alhaj Moses
Chigongo, every other person is new. Is a new face on the
because you have Aruna Kasoro for Central.
Yes.
Then at the new Entrepreneurs League, also Mike Mukula saw the exit.
Mike Mukula was from the East. For the East.
Then Entrepreneurs, there's a gentleman, I forget the name, but also still a new face.
Every new face, but also considerably younger. So you see the likes of Mukula, Badio Munsi, Kadaga, Angola was defeated in the north, although he was not an incumbent. You see the Jim Muhwezes are going out. There is an ushering of younger blood, you know. As if the NRM was an astute party, this would be a point of celebration to say we have transition. This is intergenerational, you know. This has the ability to grow from one generation. It's leaving behind one generation, coming down to the other, you know. However, you also want to ask yourself, was this an accident?
I get you.
Or this is what the man planned?
Because everyone is now talking about whichever way you want to look at it, either succession or transition. To say that there has been a rise of the PLU-leaning politicians, which is now evident in both the people that won the NRM primaries and these SEC elections, because some of the faces that took the day are a representation of PLU that is backing the first son in what is said to be the succession or the transition. Is it something, or it's overcooked by the analysts?
I think that is overcooking, because personally, this is what I think. You see, the PLU, what is the PLU? PLU is Mohozi's outfit.
I get you.
And like we said before, every young politician right now, the politics that we have in the land are politics of showing excessive zeal. I will not sick of as it sounds a little bit, you know, but showing excessive zeal. Fanaticism towards the principle, you know. So the young politicians, that's why the old politicians feel that their contribution to the nation should guarantee them a place on the table.
I get you.
That's why they cannot salute for the young man. They cannot be found saying, now my leader, this is my generational leader. No, this one, they know him as a boy. He used to maybe come for cabinet meetings when he was there playing in the stand, so they cannot respect him, you know. But then the young ones that are coming, the Daudi Kabandas of this world, the Anita Amongos of this world, the younger generation that is coming, must seek a place beyond, because previously there had been a rumor that maybe Museveni may not come back in 2026. Yeah? So they had to seek a place of continuity. And what better place of continuity than to say,
I'm siding with the next possible solution.
Yeah, the next possible solution, the next possible big thing. You know, so that's how most of these politicians come to be associated with PLU. You know, I don't think that it's not the other way around, that PLU now is positioning its members. No, it's just members naturally falling in line in the NRM, but saying the people like Kasolo, like who, these are young people, you know, are saying, what if the tides change?
I get you.
I want to be found in the good books of the party. So what is the continuation of this party? The continuation of this party. And that's why I saw a gentleman, I forget, Dr. Jesus Christ. This is really, really into writing articles. He's a doctor at MOOC.
Oh, that is Bashir?
No. I forget the name. I'll let you know. He was saying that there is no NRM post-Museveni. And I respected that opinion, because when you look at these people positioning for PLU, why are they not saying, let's liaise behind the next NRM candidate after Museveni? Why are they saying, as soon as Museveni goes, we are switching parties from NRM to PLU? Why not from the NRM, you know, from Museveni to the next candidate? Why are they not saying maybe NRM something after post-Museveni or something? Because they know that the NRM is ending with Museveni. And the young gentleman said that one of those two entities cannot be without the other.
That should be Dr. Kazibwe, I think. That's the gentleman, because he was also saying something like that on NTV this week, talking about what do the elections of this kind represent in such a time as this, both for what he was describing as a leadership crisis that we have and the transition and how it will play out. So we wait to see how that will turn out.
Sure we do.
Especially now that nominations for, the next big thing is that the nominations for members of parliament and return of those forms will be taking the storm for the months of September, and the campaign starting thereabouts October and November. We hope for peace, and we hope that the choice will drive the country.
And the rule of law, so that
absolutely
our you know, entities of that preserve peace and security can be fair and just, and allow candidates to campaign in a fair manner that will reflect in the election results.
Thank you. You say that with a lot of pain in your eyes.
Yeah, because of what we have seen, and because of, you see, at this election, before we leave, people were crying foul at, first of all, the nature. 23,000 delegates. How many years in power as a party of the NRM that metamorphosed from the NRA, you know? And you cannot organize, ask yourself, why can't they organize, a ballot box election? Why?
Because lining up. For context, NRM spent 20 billion to organize this. Yes, and initially every delegate had received 700,000. When Museveni came, I think it was on the third or fourth day, they cried that they were not in very human conditions, and he ruled that every delegate receives extra 100,000 Uganda shillings, and that's how we got to the 20 billion that was dispersed by this party to organize this.
And then just yesterday, conference. The delegates who carried children were saying they also need money for their children. That's the kind of party that is at the helm of this country's politics. But I was telling you that the nature of the voting, and even of the counting votes, and the nature of the general spirit around the votes has a story to tell.
I get you.
Lining up, first of all, facilitates commercialization of politics. How? If someone has kept you in their hotel, fed you, like they were saying
and given you some money.
Yeah, they were saying some candidates were hiding people in Kenya. As far as Kenya, they want to see you behind their backs. And that is something that they are going to see and be like, Harold, I gave you my money, you need to be behind my back. So you want to ask yourself why they cannot organize secret ballots for 23,000 delegates. The other day we saw Tanga Odoi, doctor, counting people, 140, 150.
And there was another clip where he was swearing that he will never find himself in such business of counting people back to back.
Back to back, you see? And for me, I don't blame him, because honestly speaking, those are imagine you're counting 5 lines, every line has 500 people are lining up. You're going to get tired. I don't think that he was doing that. I don't think that he was doing that intentionally, because he was on camera, people are seeing. That's not the kind of reputation you want on your name, but the man is honestly tired. The system is tiresome. It's rudimentary. For a party that has been in power for 40 years, you must need to do better. It must need to do better.
I see the producer giving me a bad eye.
Oh.
I think we need to switch the topic.